Welcome into ATL Day Ones with Jarvis and Tenitra. Coming up on today's show, this is going to be a good one. Jessie Bates said that the division is up in the air. But is it?
And now that he has his money, is Jarvis going to call him by his real name?
Last but not least for the culture, we talking wings. That's about it. That's all I got. It's ATL Day Ones. Let's go.
This is ATL Day Ones, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. And it starts now.
I want to start by saying thank you for making ATL Day Ones your first listen of the day. And remember, we are free and available wherever you download your podcast. And wherever you download your podcast, make sure that you leave us a 5-star review. Really appreciate that from you in advance. Today's episode of ATL Day Ones is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon today to get started. But Jessie Bates out here popping off. Yesterday, when you got a chance to speak to the media, talking about the division is up in the air. Yeah, we were the Bengals. I understand, being at the bottom of the division, then messing around and winning the division, then going to the Super Bowl. I think we can do that right here. I find that very interesting, because we've had plenty of conversations about when we looking at the quarterbacks in this division, you're like, oh no, it's looking a little shaky. The Falcons have a rookie quarterback in Desmond Ridder, but he had more starts. At that time, he had more starts than any quarterback in the division. But now, you got Baker Mayfield at Tampa. You have who's going to battle it out with Kyle Trask. And you have, Derek Carr down in New Orleans. And then the Carolina Panthers, we know it's going to be a rookie quarterback more than likely. And when you think about that, I think Jessie Bates might be on to something, but I think it comes with a little caveat first. But I'll let you respond first. Do you think he's on to something when he's talking about division being up in the air like it is?
Oh, I most definitely do, because oftentimes what we look at with free agency is if the teams in the division made money moves, did you make corresponding moves? And I feel like Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith made corresponding moves for any and every little thing that the Saints did. So, yeah, you went out and got Derek Carr. Woohoo. Okay, well, the Falcons went out and got themselves a solid backup. So now they've got a good 1-2 punch. So, and that's just one of the examples. Okay, Carolina, you went out and kind of sold everything in the house so that you could potentially get a quarterback who you think is going to be NFL ready now, whether that's CJ Stroud or Bryce Young. Okay, fine. Falcons have themselves a QB 1-2, and he's pretty darn good. And then you think about all of the moves that the Falcons made. Of course, you already know where I'm going on defense. You think about those moves. I don't think, if I look across the space of the Bucks, the Panthers, the Saints, and maybe them combined, to be honest, Jarvis, I don't think they made the kind of moves that the Falcons made to shore up that defense. So, yes, I believe Jessie Bates is absolutely on target. And one more thing. When Joe Burrow and the Bengals were out there stinking up the joint, and I would even say when Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars were out there stinking up the joint, everybody was looking like, dang, is this going to be like a 3, 4, 10-year type of rebuild situation until they're in contention? And we know that the Bengals almost got back again over the Chiefs. And we saw what the Jaguars were able to do to just say, hey, let me let you know we're coming. So, yeah, I do not think that Jessie Bates is over-exaggerating by any stretch of the imagination, because, like he said, he has seen the blueprint. And if he saw the blueprint in Cincinnati and he thinks this blueprint is close to it in Atlanta, I'm going with what he said.
Yeah, and it's I find it very interesting that, from a team concept, a team building, culture, establishing type way, I think this Arthur Smith, I kind of understand the signing from that standpoint, because like when you talk about guys like Kyle Pitts and AJ Terrell, all those guys have the same agent. So, and Jessie Bates even talked about how that was kind of an influence on him as well as far as coming down here. And those guys got a chance to really get to know each other, because when they were on a van headed to Flowery Branch and there was an accident, so they had plenty of time to talk, speak with each other. Like Onyemata, obviously, they made him official as well, with Jessie Bates, obviously, and Kaden Ellis. I don't know why I always stutter with his name. Kaden Ellis, who was a linebacker from the Saints as well. So those guys got a chance to talk to the media and everything, and talk about their experiences so far and how they ended up in Atlanta. And Jessie Bates said that the things that they learned and talked about is going to be something that's going to be able to help them establish a rapport with each other and the rest of their teammates. So I'm always looking for like little things that kind of little indicators as far as from a team builder standpoint is what gonna establish these guys as a team and be able to go forward. Because we talked about with Drake London and Desmond Ridder, like that stuff matters. I know people may think that might be insignificant, but that type of stuff matters when it comes from a team building standpoint. But T, when you look at this roster and you talk about the additions with Terry Fontenot and all those guys I just mentioned that he has brought in, do you feel like something is missing?
Yeah, I do a little bit.
Yeah, I know where you're going, but
I think it matters. It depends on the definition of missing, because you kind of have two ways to look at it. If you want to look at 11 and 11 on both sides of the ball, and do you feel like you have all 11 ready to go, your starters who could hit the ground come week one? I would say no. But if you asked me if they were very close, yeah. And if you asked me if you looked at the depth chart and just went too deep, were they good at just about every position now? I would absolutely say yes to that. So, yeah, I think that probably depth-wise, they are as close as you can possibly get to being a complete team ready to compete in the division. But I do think we have some holes there because, hey, on ATL day ones, you already know that we still believe that number 8, they need to go for a pass rusher. And yes, they've shored up the interior, but we still have some things that we need to do to continue to shore up that front line and get those trenches straight. So that's why I would say I don't think you kind of have your 11 there. And one more thing, Jarvis, I am not convinced that we're fully finished with completing the O-line either on that left side. Yes, I think the right side's good to go, but maybe from that center spot on, minus Jake Matthews, might have some opportunity there to get yourself another starter, because I'm not sure that that's completely ready to rock and roll day one.
I'm with you, and I'd be interested to see if they try to tap into the Elijah Wilkinson again. Yeah. I think that'll be something that'll be able to bring in at least to compete for the spot. And I think that the look that we got at him last year, I really wholeheartedly believe it. If he's able to remain healthy, that'll be a solid pickup going forward. Now, T, obviously yesterday, with all the hoopla around the Georgia pro days, and we talked about that with Jalen Carter and obviously Stetson Bennett getting a chance to talk for the first time since his arrest and his dealings out there in Dallas, out there knocking on doors, drunk as all get out in the middle of the morning. Yeah, that's crazy. But Georgia Tech pro day went down yesterday, and one thing about me, T, I'm always big on like first impressions. And my first impression that I got from Keion White when I got a chance to talk with him down at the Senior Bowl was the fact that this young man is well on his way. And when you talk about being self-aware, a lot of times it's hard for these guys, especially when you go into the NFL and projected to be a first-round draft pick. Yeah. That self-awareness might not be as big as you may think. But when I met him, I was very impressed by this young man. And I even went as far as saying, hey, I would love for the Falcons to draft this guy. But I want to play something for you. I want to get your reaction to it. Keion said something that I thought was very interesting when he was asked about who he models his game after.
Particularly for me, I kind of sort of try to be an individual, because I feel like when you do what everybody else does, you're going to be just like everybody else. So that's a big model for me. So there's not anybody that I watch that I'm like, hey, this is who I want to model my game after, because everybody's different. So I want to be the best player that I could be. So I guess the player I want to model my game after is not there yet. He's not in the league yet, because it's me. So that's it.
My guy. So when I hear things, Jarvis, music plays in my head all day, every day. So the first thing I heard was, I'm different. Yeah, I'm different, because he is different. Okay.
Indeed.
Yeah. Keion White is going to hit somebody's roster real different. The other thing I thought about was when you quoted what Jessie Bates said, coupled with what we just heard Keion White said, do we not always say that the Falcons need dogs? And not just dogs who play like them, But dogs like Cordero Patterson, he'll get on Twitter in a heartbeat and start campaigning for a player that he wants, or
Say
to be
exactly what it
outspoken. He
is.
say
He ain't with the
whatever he
whole
wants
media
to say.
training and all that
None.
PR stuff.
Exactly.
I'm
It's
saying
out the
I
door.
feel.
And yet still
Yes.
professional, yet still gets his point across. But he's gonna, I said what I said. That's who he is. That
Love
is what you need more and more and more of those. The more you get, the more that also becomes the identity of your team. So when I heard that, I was like, oh, yeah. I said, forget that he's got that raw talent that they're waiting to kind of tap into to see what they can make him into. What he is now as a person and what you need, if you can meld those two things together, coupled with the fact that you and I have already said there are some veterans that can mentor the likes of him or a Jalen Carter. Why wouldn't you go after that person? Or a Miles Murphy, why wouldn't you go after that person? But Keion White in particular, I was like, ooh. I said, now it depends on what board you read, but right now he's kind of hovering middle to late first round. Mm-hmm. And if the Falcons don't have to do anything but sit at 8, or if they only have to move up to 7 or 6 and they don't really lose anything, especially they don't lose their second rounder, I would take that 44 so fast. I mean, they moved up to get Caleb McGarry and but I would take that 44 so fast. If Keion White was in reach, I would do it in a heartbeat if I were the Falcons.
And here's the thing, from my eyeballs, he'll be available in the teens. I don't think he's going to be available at the end of the first round because the more and more of these people
that's why I was like,
get to meet and interact with this dude. He ran a 4.7 at 285. Like that's all you can ask
for.
Nice
combine that even confirmed what you saw in person, and even that drive that we want to see. Right, yesterday after his pro day, he was so frustrated with himself because he, I guess, just injured himself, just a mild injury.
Hamstring,
exactly. Tweaked that hammy.
40,
Right. And so he was mad because he just knew in his heart that second 40, he was going to go off. And I was like, that's the guy that you need. You need the guy like Nolan Smith did a couple of weeks ago. Like, that wasn't a good 40. That wasn't good enough. That's the guy that you need because he's also going to be the guy that looks around at everybody else and says, so you bringing your A game today or what?
Yeah, I think from a competitive standpoint, because at the end of the day, a lot of times people look at, these pro days and this combine and saying, hey, these guys are competing against each other. No, they're not. They compete against themselves. And Keion White, to come out and say what he said as far as, hey, who I model my game after is not in the league. It's me. Like, I love that. Like, because that's the type of mindset you have to have on 3rd and long. Who gonna get home? Me. That's the answer to the question. I am. Ain't no gonna be like, all right, let's go. Let's see who gonna get. Nuh-uh. I'm about to get here. Y'all can meet me there, but meet me there or beat me there. So I think when you have a guy like that speaking that type of language, that's the type of stuff I love to hear because it brings back fond memories. But yeah, I think Keion White is a guy definitely keep an eye out for if the Falcons are willing to trade back a few slots. I wholeheartedly believe that he will be there and they can get them a hell of a player. And I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be productive in the NFL. Now, T, the March Madness going down, all that good stuff, right? And we got the Hawks getting ready to get back into some action. As a matter of fact, Bo just signed a big boy deal, 4 years, $68 million. Yeah, I ain't changed it yet, T. I'm going to get to it. I'm still waiting. What does that mean, though, for the roster in this summer? Because we know some decisions will have to be made. We'll talk about that next. But first, we got to talk about FanDuel because it is the #1 sports book in America. So, you guys rock with the #1 podcast in America. So why don't you rock with the #1 sports book? Because guess what? If you're a new customer, they got the no sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sports app because it's safe, secure, and it's super easy to use. People, I'm telling you, you don't have to worry about your information being passed along around the black web and all that stuff. You don't have to worry about that. They got you locked in right here. Now, what you can do, you can also bet the spread, the money line, the total, threes made, all that stuff, man. It's going down tonight. I'm telling you, at State Farm Arena, the Hawks, you need to get on it. Plus, FanDuel can let you even combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with the same game parlay. So, what you need to do, don't miss your chance to get your no sweat first bet up to $1,000 and bonus bets back when you get to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA.
So the Hawks did a little work off the court in their days off. Been off for 4 days, of course, getting ready to take on the Warriors tonight. Their last game against the Warriors this season. But before they hit the court, they took care of one of their guys, Bogdan Bogdanovic. Bogdan gets a 4-year, $68 million contract, according to sources, to extend him. It's going to start in the 2023-24 year. And of course, that means he declined the $18 million option in favor of this contract. Now, so far, Bogdan has been averaging 14 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists per game, 43 games this year. Not bad for him in terms of dealing with his comeback from injury. And he actually had 5 starts as well. Now, this one for me was interesting because I would venture to say none of us kind of saw this coming. But since we're here, what do you think about this move that the Hawks have decided to make to extend Bogey, Jarvis, Bogey?
Yes.
He's
Bogdan.
earned his name.
Yes, Bogdan Bogdanovic. If you're shooting 40% from 3 this year on this squad, yeah, man. Like I gotta call you. I gotta go with Bogdan. Yeah,
and 43% from the field. Come on.
Yeah. That dude's he's been pretty consistent when you're talking about coming off the bench. So, but yeah, I think ultimately the Landry Fields of the world and of course Quin Snyder. I think this is like this is the guy that we want to keep around, and I think this might mean John Collins might be out for real this time, T.
Yes.
When you talk about $25 million on the books, Trey's a big boy contract kicking in next year. You got DeAndre Hunter stuff who's about to get ready to start kicking in as well. So all of those things come into play when you're talking about which pieces we're going to move around, because we know, like, you're not going to be well into the luxury tax or pay into the luxury tax if you still trying to figure things out. Yeah. You subtract salary until you figure it out, and then once you feel like you're contender, then you kind of jump into those waters, dip your toe into those waters, so to speak. And I think Tony Ressler would be more than willing to do that, but not with a subpar team that's sitting at 34 and 35 with about 17, 18 games left to go in the season. So yeah. I think that's the thing that came to mind initially, because to be honest with you, they traded for John Collins' replacement, Sadiq Bey. We've been talking about how he's been playing well. Bo has been Bogdan has been playing very well, or Bogey has been playing very well on defense also. And even Trey Young is locked in.
He's trying,
14, he's trying. 14 steals over 2 weeks, last 2 weeks, 14 steals. I'll take that all day, every day. So, and that's kind of how Steph Curry kind of implemented himself or involved himself on defense as well. So we know he was a defensive liability early on, and he figured out a way to get involved on that side of the basketball. But yeah, I think this is definitely a message like, hey, this guy has some value to us, and we're probably going to look to see if we can find some value in return for you.
Yeah, because what you just said is a great example, right? Of course, Trey is known for the pick and roll, whether he's doing the pick and roll with Clint Capella, John Collins, or of recent Onyeka Okongwu. But to your point, he was hovering around like a little over 2 steals earlier on in the season. And as the season wore on, he just kept getting closer to averaging like 3 steals a game. The point of that is that now puts your team in position to be in transition, right? And get up on the break. You can get up on the break and kick it out to Bogey, and you pretty much know you're going to get a 3. You can kick it out to Sadiq Bey. You pretty much know you're going to get a made 3, and AJ Griffin as well. Yeah. There it is. Exactly. So it really gives you the opportunity in certain places to say, hey, if I can just get a little defense, then I know that I can get my offense to be more effective, right? And more efficient, because that's what they were known for last year. I mean, at the end of the league season, they were at the top for efficiency in shooting.
Yes.
It's not them.
One of the better teams in the NBA. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think you make a great point about how this move will impact everybody else. So yes, it signals that the Hawks are looking at him as being a part of their long-term strategy, but it also signals, or should signal to some people, that you better figure out what your game is and your contribution is going to be real quick, because the Hawks might make that play-in round, but they're about to go fishing real soon. And when they go fishing, you might not go fishing with them. You might be fishing with somebody else's team. And like you said, I I don't think you trade AJ Griffin. Let's just
No.
I think Jalen Johnson is actually starting to make a case with the coaching staff, not with the fans.
He has value.
Everybody else feels like he has value, but I think he's starting to make his case with them, and that's the important piece. And we saw a video yesterday from our girl Jamila Johnson. She had John Collins working out with Kyle Korver on his mid-range shot, and I said to myself, he better get that mid-range shot right real fast.
Yeah,
because you've got to.
Let me speak on that, because I think you made a really good point. But in regards to that though, like, that ain't gonna help. Like, that's not gonna help. I'm sorry. Like,
that's not enough.
That's not enough. Like, you need to be able to shoot the three. Like, sorry. Like, that's the way this offense is constructed. You need to be able to shoot a three, because
or you
Clint
better
Capella
be a lockdown defender.
is the pick and roll guy.
Yeah,
he's the pick and roll guy.
Yeah,
That's it.
You're now third in line, to be honest, because when Double O is in there, he's really, the preferred second option. But yeah, to your point, you've got one of two things to do. Either you better give them more on the offensive side of the ball, and not to make it too simple, but really, let's be real, the three-pointer, the three ball.
Yeah, that's it.
If you can't give them a three ball, you better be a lockdown defender. And really, you better do it on the wing. Have we seen anybody from that team be a lockdown defender on the wing consistently? The answer is hell no. So because we've not, And I guess the only other question I'll ask before I ask my
well, let me make a point, because I think I'm glad that you brought up Onyeka Okongwu, because I think that the sense of urgency is real, because guess what? Onyeka Okongwu is going to be a free agent after 2024. Also, DeJounte Murray, the guy who you traded 3 first-round picks for, he's going to be a free agent after 24 as well. And Saddiq Bey, the guy who you just traded for and potentially could be a cheap John Collins replacement, is going to be a free agent after 2024. So all of those, the sense of urgency is realty. Yeah. When you're talking about them giving him this extension right now, not allowing him to get to hit the market or decline his option, because we got reports that was going to happen maybe about 3 weeks ago from my guy Mike Scotto. So I think when you have all of these the puzzle pieces are starting to really come together, and I think that when John start really accessing where he is, because I'm sure Quin Snyder has told him, he seems like a guy who can be very straightforward and blunt with love, because hey, he cares about you as a player. But I think that there are some things that needs to happen on this roster from a financial standpoint in order for this team to be able to assess where they are without spending their way and trying to figure out things as they're sitting in the luxury tax. I don't think that's the what Tony Wrestler wants to do, and I don't think that's what Landry Fields wants to do at all as well.
Right. And it'll be interesting to see how that even impacts DeAndre Hunter, because that's a name that, as some of these moves have been made, you haven't really heard a lot about. And so maybe that indicates that he's secure, but I really don't know. To me, he's still a question mark that we probably need to see at least 5 to 7 more games to see if he gets back to two-way Dre, to see if he stays on this roster for next season. Now, speaking of coming back to this season, if you think the Hawks have woes, you should be a Warriors fan when they are on the road. They are 7-27. And for tonight, Kevon Looney is questionable. He's actually probable, so we'll go with he probably will play. Steph Curry's questionable, but I think he's probably going to be a go as well, just because, hey, you dropped 50 in the last game. You're probably still good. You know who won't go? Draymond Green. You get a 16 technical foul, the league sits you down. Why do I mention that? Because this is an opportunity for the Hawks to take advantage of. They almost beat them back in January, heartbreaking double overtime loss to the Warriors at Golden State. So you're ripe and ready to deal with this team. But Jarvis, what are maybe 1 or 2 things that you feel like they can do to just get this W?
I just play focused basketball. Like, just come locked in. Like, come out here and play, because like when this team is locked in defensively, let me say that. When this team is locked in defensively, they are a pretty good doggone basketball team. And a lot of times you could tell, I know you could tell, I can tell as well, like how they come out in that first quarter, it pretty much can predict what they're going to be for the next 3, because this team, they can come out and be in la-la land sometimes. And I think that for the key for them, though, tonight is definitely locking in on defense. And if Steph Curry plays, closing out on threes,
Yes.
making sure they're, if they're switching, making sure they're staying in front of their guys. And then if a guy like Jalen Johnson who has been starting to become a nice perimeter defender, at the top of that defense, I see your Quin Snyder. I see what you're doing, dude. I'm paying the real attention. So I think if they can get everything, get focused in on that on defensive end, I think it's going to be easy to get buckets and get a win tonight.
Yeah, and they need that because they had one of their worst assist games, only 17 assists. That's unheard of for the Hawks in their loss on Monday. And that also speaks to lack of ball movement. But like Quin Snyder said, you can't get an assist if you don't make a basket. So there's that. So we'll see what happens at the tip tonight, 7:30 down at State Farm Arena. But something else that's tipping off, of course, is March Madness. We're getting knee deep into it. Had the first upset last night by Virginia. Sorry, Dre. But Virginia is out of there. And if you are a Virginia fan and you want to drown your sorrows, go get yourself a Built Bar because you might need that chocolate in your life as you try to figure out how the Cavaliers went down last night and how brackets were busted, because we're hearing like from one outlet, there are only 1,000 brackets left that were busted last night, thanks to Virginia, the number 4 being beat by the number 13. So that Built Bar, it'll give you some protein. That'll give you a boost, kind of get you back ready for the games tonight. Also, so that's like what? 17 grams, unbelievable protein there. And then only 4 grams of sugar and only 130 calories. You can't beat that. Peanut butter, churro, all kinds of cool flavors for you as well. If you still like to do everything online, you know what you can do? You can watch ATL Day Ones online. Then you can go order yourself some Built Bars at Built.com. But if you are cool and you like to do brick and mortar, you still enjoy shopping, go right to Sam's, get your 13 bars, or you can go to Walmart and get your 4 bars. Just don't forget to get your Built Bar.
Locked On Sports Atlanta family, listen up. I got something for you. What's that, Jarvis? I have a proposition for you. I need you to go to YouTube and hit that subscribe button when you see our videos. Locked On Sports Atlanta. We're right there. We'll pop right up. ATL Day Ones with Jarvis and Tenitra. Go ahead and do that as well. You know what I mean? That's what we're here for. We're here for you Monday through Friday. And we're trying to get to 6,000 subscribers, so we need your help. So if you haven't done so, if you're listening or watching this podcast, make sure that you go help us out so we can meet our goal, because we are doing some things over here. We want you to join in on the party each and every day. But this is For the Culture. It is the intersection between sports, entertainment, the culture, and sometimes whatever the hell we want to talk about, because that's just how we get down on the show. Today is no different. How about this? A Twitter account that I follow that I thoroughly enjoy. It is a great follow on Twitter at Georgia Followers. And I think this something that touched my heart. They dropped a wing ranking, and we're going to go through all of these, and I'm going to ask you a question as we go through them. And I probably know the answer to this, but hey, for kicks and giggles and for all our folks to kind of get in on the eatery boucherie that you deal with in the city of Atlanta, we're gonna let the folks in. All right, so they ranked them in a particular order. It's like 6 of them, and I'm gonna start with number 6. Number 6 is the Wing Factory. Have you ever been to the Wing Factory before?
We're gonna go with no.
Okay, I have not been to the Wing Factory before.
You haven't been? Okay, now that's a shocker.
I haven't.
Okay.
I have not. I have not been to the Wing Factory.
So we need a field trip to the Wing Factory for ATL Day
the Wing
Ones,
Factory.
clearly.
Yes, yeah, there are a couple on here that we might need to take a little field trip to, because these pictures are amazing. Number 5 is $3 Cafe. Have you been to $3 Cafe?
I have.
Yes, I have too, and
Yes.
they do have some really good wings. So I think that's definitely a spot. Number 4 is Clay Sports Cafe. Have you been to Clay Sports Cafe?
Never heard of it. Sorry.
Me either. I have not, so we'll just move on from that one. And number 3, it's called The Local. Now, this is one I feel like we need to go try out, because they have some.
I've heard about The Local.
Yes, the Korean buffalo wings, Korean and mild sauce or medium sauce. I think I might be very interested in. I'm intrigued by that one, so that might be one I want to definitely check out. Now, if you've gone to this spot, I don't know if I'll be able to continue the show. The number 2 on this list is the Magic City Kitchen. Have you partaken before? Yeah.
Huh?
No?
Say what?
No? Magic City Kitchen.
Are you? I'm sorry, like
The kitchen, not the other stuff. The kitchen.
like the booty bar.
Yeah. The booty bar. The kitchen inside the booty bar. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
Now,
you can go to the kitchen without
Yes.
going to the.
You can actually get it delivered from there.
What?
Yes. So you can get the little wheels. You know what I'm saying? Like you
I
get
did
the
not
little
know
wheels.
that.
You can sample them. Yeah. You can get it delivered.
Now, real talk. Randy McMichael and Hugh Douglas were supposed to take me on a field trip
Okay.
to Magic City.
Wow.
And it was allegedly to try out the wings. But of
Yes,
course,
of
we
course.
know Hugh has abandoned me. He's gone to Philly. So we're no longer friends.
Hugh.
Joking. But yeah, he's in Philly. And Randy has just abandoned me as well on my field trip. So I guess I'm going to have to break down and go. But I didn't know. I always thought I had to go
Now,
in
you know,
and
your
go
folk
through
can
all
take
of the.
you there too, now,
Yeah.
T.
Because I
You
didn't
get
know,
some VIP
Jarvis.
treatment
It could
now.
be a field trip.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I thought you had to like take it all in. And you know
No.
how I feel about other people's OPP. Okay. So
We'll get into that OPP a little bit later on. But last but not least, here on this list, I think that this is one that I've heard a lot of, but I've never tasted it before. Is Atlanta Best Wings. Have you ever heard of Atlanta Best Wings? And if you heard of it, have you been there before?
heard of it, never been, but yeah, I've heard that. That's a good look too. So I think we've got some work to do, which is shocking because you
Yeah.
love wings. But then
I have my
again,
go-tos though. Like
I was going to say your spots didn't make the cut, but
Yeah.
I have raved about the one you sent me to a couple months ago, JJ's. Like,
Yes, so
yeah,
amazing.
Please,
if you
people
haven't gone,
believe
please
it.
go.
Yes.
JJ's Fish and Chicken. Yes, they got you.
Yes, your
Get
whole
the
life.
extra seasoning.
Yeah, that's what. Yes. Now the extra seasoning, people. That's the ticket because it's a good, but the extra seasoning makes it great. It's a great
Yes.
wing, and you can put that seasoning over everything, like your fries, all
All
of it.
of it. Everything. Whatever's in the box. Throw it on the bread. It's gonna be great.
Don't you just see the joy like overtaking us when we're talking about this?
Yes. We will not steer you wrong right here on ATL Day Ones. And we really appreciate you guys for rocking with us and making us your first listen of the day. And why don't you stop by Locked On Sports today and make them your second listen of the day? Then you can find it wherever you find this podcast. We are free and available on YouTube as well. Now, T, we do this. It's a Friday. We're going to have some good fun this weekend. Got March Madness going down. Everything going to be happening over the weekend. So make sure you guys come back on Monday. We're going to have a very special episode just for you. And one last thing before we get out of here. I ask this of each and every person that is partaking in this episode. Make sure that you share love, show love, and most importantly, spread love.